Hi there, my name is Kaylee. I am a Career Support and Training Services Case Manager here at the Juneau Job Center, and I'm here to talk to you today about how to create a standout resume. So thank you for joining me, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so before we begin, I want to talk about some of the key concepts you can expect to learn in today's presentation. We're going to start by talking about the creation of your resume, how to identify the 3 different types of resumes and which one would fit best for you, and the purpose of a resume. Then we're going to dive into the details of a resume, how to fill them out effectively on each section of your resume, as well as the different sections in a resume, and how to tailor your resume for a specific job or customizing the resume. So first, let's go over what a resume is. A resume is a summary of your skills, qualifications, and education that shows the unique value that you can bring to an employer. A well-crafted resume is your ticket to a job interview. There are 3 different types of resumes. There's the chronological resume, which is the most common. This is where you list your experience in reverse chronological order. There's a functional resume, which might work better for some folks, where you just leave the dates off of your work experience. And then there's the combination functional and chronological resume, which is also a great option. We're going to go ahead and dive deeper into each one of these now. So to start, you can see we have an example here of a chronological resume. You can see that this person's work experience is listed in reverse chronological order, which means that we are listing the work experience from the most recent job to the oldest job. This is a great way to show your career progression clearly, and it's the most common format that people will use for resumes. It's great, it's easy for employers to read, and if you don't have any gaps in your resume or any issues with listing dates on your resume, this could be a great one for you. The next type of resume is the functional resume. So you can see here, this one really focuses on somebody's skills and qualifications rather than dates and timelines. This is ideal for candidates who may have gaps in employment or who are transitioning to new careers. And you can see here they listed all of their work experience just like they did on the chronological resume. The only difference is that we left the dates off. Okay, and finally we have the combination resume, which is a combination of both the functional and the chronological resume. You can see on this example here, this person has summaries of their skills and their qualifications, and they have their work experience listed in, again, reverse chronological order. So this is a great way to show all of the different qualifications that someone might have, and this is great for individuals who may have a diverse background. Okay, this can oftentimes be the most difficult part of writing the resume, especially if you're starting from scratch. Getting started on writing your resume can feel so daunting and overwhelming, but what we want to encourage you to do is to just get started. Just start writing, elaborating on every detail you can possibly think of about your previous work experience, your volunteer work, what your skills, your qualifications are. Just go ahead and write them all down. And then we can worry about formatting, tailoring, etc. in the future. Once you have written down as many details as you possibly could think of about your previous work history and volunteer experience and skills and qualifications, we can start really looking in detail at the different resume sections. So some resume sections include your contact information, which is vital, an objective statement, which is optional, a summary, which is again optional, your work experience, which is important if you have work experience to list it, your education, another important factor, other relevant sections, which might include things like volunteer work, or your references. Okay, so let's start off with the contact information section. This section is so vital because it's important that any potential employers have quick, easy access to contact information to get a hold of you if you are selected for a job interview. Some of the things you should include on this section include your first and your last name, a professional email address. Please note that this says professional, so if your current email address that you're using sounds unprofessional, has any slang or verbiage in it that might throw an employer off, go ahead and make a new one. Your home address, which is optional, and then a good contact phone number for you. So you can see here we have an example for John Forrester. He's got his address, his email address, which is just his first name dot his last name at email.com. That's a great format to choose for email addresses, and then his phone number. Following up on what I was talking about with using professional contact information, this is a great pro tip to keep in mind. 70% of employers will screen potential candidates through their social media before making a hiring decision. This is why it's so important to make sure that your social medias are either cleaned up and professional looking or they're set to private. That way you can present your best self. The next section, which is optional, but I always encourage folks to do this, is the objective statement. This is a great way to show your interest in the career that you're applying for. An objective statement can be used to indicate to an employer your career goals, your level of qualifications, your expected salary scale, and any hiring preferences that you may identify with. So if you're a veteran or a military spouse, etc., this is a great place to put that in. Typically, an objective statement should be just one sentence. I have seen objective statements that were 2 sentences that looked okay, but try to keep it to just one quick sentence about who you are, what you're looking for in a company. So you can see this example of the objective statement is a great one. It says, dedicated educator seeking a teaching position in a diverse school district to foster student engagement and a positive learning environment. This is a really great, concise objective statement that really packs a punch. This next section is another optional one. It is the summary of qualifications section. So think of this as your elevator pitch. You have 30 seconds to pitch to somebody why you would be a great candidate for their position. This should only be 2 to 4 sentences, should be really quick, really concise, just like the objective statement, but just go into a little bit further detail about your background and what makes you a good candidate. So we have another great example listed here. This person's summary of qualifications says, compassionate healthcare professional with over 3 years of experience managing projects in fast-paced environments, enhancing efficiency, and ensuring positive patient outcomes. So it can be a little difficult to find the perfect summary of qualifications for you. This is one that I encourage people to spend a lot of time on because if it's done well, then it can really add a lot to your resume and help you stand out. There are a couple of different options for finding summaries of qualifications or creating summaries of qualifications. You can use an artificial intelligence system if you would like, but the important thing to note with that is that you want to make sure that when you're putting in the prompt for the AI engine that it is inclusive of things that are actually relevant to you, so your actual work history, your actual skills and abilities, and then when it gives you a summary of qualifications, you want to proofread it, make sure it didn't include anything that you didn't ask it to include or that isn't relevant to you. And you want to make sure that it sounds like you. So you can take it as an example and then just edit it, tweak a few words in it or sentences to really make it come from you because you don't want it to sound robotic and you don't want it to be unrealistic either. Another option is to just ask us for help here at the Job Center. Our staff are always happy to help. We are great at doing things like this and coming up with ideas for folks to put on their resumes. So you do have options and we're happy to help. Okay, so this next section is for experience, which is really important. If you have any work experience to highlight, this is the place to put it. You want to include things like your position title, the company name, the city and state that you're in, and then anywhere between 3 and 6 bullet points per position listed, showing your core responsibilities and specific duties on the job. You can also highlight here some significant accomplishments or recognition or awards that you've earned. And this is also a really great space to use metrics to showcase your impact. So for example, if you were a new accounts representative at a bank, how many bank accounts did you open for that bank in the past year or in any given month? If you were a retail sales associate, how many positive reviews did you get? If you have any way of measuring or showing numbers for the impact that you've made, this is a great place to put it. You can see here in the example, we do have the month and year listed for this person's work experience in the upper right-hand corner. This is an optional part. If you are choosing to do a chronological resume, you would want the dates listed there. If this is a functional resume though, and you want to avoid putting dates, then that's okay too. You can absolutely just not put dates there, and that's fine. Okay, so I've got another pro tip for your resume. Steer clear of long paragraphs. Instead, try to use bullet points to get your point across. You want your resume to be clear and concise. If it ends up being too fluffy or too wordy, then the potential employer might overlook some of your important qualifications. The goal of your resume is to be concise, easy to read, easy to understand, and easy to match with the job description so that you can get to the interview process where you can talk in further depth about your work experience that you'd like to include. All right, let's talk about education. So in the education section, this is where you should put your high school diploma or high school equivalency diploma if you have received those. And if you have received any higher education, like if you went to post-secondary or college and you got a diploma there, this is a great section to put those in as well. Also underneath where you have your degree or diploma title, you can include some bullet points about your GPA. If you had a 3.0 or above, a high GPA is great to put there. Any relevant coursework, so any courses that you took while in school that may be relevant to the job that you're applying for, and any honors or achievements that you received. Here's another pro tip for you. If you have any non-traditional educational background experience, consider adding sections such as licenses and certifications, professional development courses that you may have taken through previous careers, apprenticeships, or internships. These are all excellent things to list on your resume, and you should definitely try to find a spot for them on there if you can. Okay, let's talk about our references section. This section is optional. If you would like, you can always list the references header and then you can just write underneath it, references available upon request. That's what I typically do, and then that way you can save your references for the actual job application. If you want to include your references on your resume, however, make sure that you have at least 2 to 4 contacts in mind. People who are professional references are preferred. So think of folks like previous teachers, faculty members, coworkers, supervisors, people that you have worked with in a professional capacity previously. These hold greater credibility than using things like personal references or friends or family members as references. Another thing to be aware of that's really important to do when you're listing references is you need to make sure that the references you are listing are aware that they are being listed as references and that they will be positive references for you. You want to make sure that they're prepared to answer a phone call in a professional manner so that they can be a positive reference for you. Okay, this is another great section to include on a resume. This is your skills section, and we can break this down even further into both hard skills and soft skills. So we'll dive into a little bit about what the difference is between those in just a minute, but hard skills are technical skills and soft skills are personal skills. Both are valued by employers, so by highlighting both in different ways, you can show that you're a really well-rounded employee. Skills can also be featured in a dedicated section on your resume, or you can just integrate them throughout your entire resume in the bullet points underneath your work experience, in your summary, in your objective statement. There are so many ways to include skills on your resume, and this is such a great way to make your resume stand out. Okay, so as I just said, hard skills are your technical skills. So these are specific, measurable abilities that you learn through education, training, or work experience. Think of things like coding or programming, software proficiency, if you're proficient in using Microsoft Word or Microsoft Outlook or Excel, machine operation, if you know how to operate a forklift. Or an espresso machine, and then things like language fluency. Can you speak another language? These are all things that are considered hard skills and are really a great opportunity to utilize keyword recognition from the minimum qualifications on a job description into your resume and show that you have all of those minimum requirements. Soft skills, on the other hand, while they are important, they are non-technical skills and they describe how you work and interact with others. They are important in that it is a valuable skill to employers, but it's not quite as important as hard skills. So it's still good to list your soft skills, but I recommend listing your soft skills in other ways throughout your resume. So maybe in your summary statement or um, trying to incorporate them in your work experience rather than having a separate dedicated section for these skills. So you could consider maybe having a dedicated section to just your hard skills and then incorporating your soft skills throughout the resume. This is another great way to incorporate keyword recognition from the job description. So if you find any keywords on the job description regarding soft skills or hard skills, you can use those words if they're relevant to you and incorporate those into your work experience or your summary statement or your objective statement, etc. All right, so your other section is going to be things like volunteer experience. So emphasize any transferable skills or community engagement. If you're using volunteer experience, there's a lot of transferable skills that you might not think about. So if you were a secretary for a sporting team, what did you do for the financial aspect of the team? Think of ways that you could transfer those skills and make it relevant to the job that you're applying for. You can also list any honors and awards you may have received, any recognitions or accolades, or if you are looking for a career in research or science, sometimes things like attending conferences, projects, and participating in publications, those are all great things to include here as well. Okay, I've got another pro tip for you. It is a myth that resumes must be one page only. It's important to make sure that your resume is concise to the point and that everything on your resume is relevant to the job description of the job that you are applying for. But if you happen to have considerable experience that is relevant and it takes up more than one page, that's okay. As long as the job description doesn't have a requirement regarding the length of the resume, it's okay to go a little bit over, have a second page. Just don't make it too wordy or too fluffy because again, you want to keep everything all relevant to the job posting. Okay, this is one that sometimes people will struggle with, is filling in the details. So sometimes people might have a hard time remembering what all they actually did in a previous job. If you're struggling to recall those details, there are resources available to help you. One of the websites that we love to use here at the Job Center is called ONET Online. ONET is a free tool for researching careers and industries and the key skills that employers seek in those industries. ONET can be used for a variety of different things. It can give you keywords or core responsibilities regarding that career or that industry, and it might help remind you of things that you were in charge of or took care of in your previous roles. Okay, so you can see here that this is a screenshot of the ONET Online Occupation Keyword Search Tool. So you can use this keyword search tool to find that career or the industry and then evaluate the tasks and the skills that were relevant to you in your previous career and incorporate them into your resume. Or you can look up a career or an industry that you are interested in applying for and try to incorporate those keywords in your resume too. There are so many different options to use ONET Online and other labor market research websites to your advantage. This is a great tool to use. Okay, so here's the last thing I want to talk about ONET Online. If you are a veteran, sometimes it can be difficult to translate your military experience into civilian careers or related fields. ONET Online has a really handy tool for translating the jobs and the tasks that you did while serving and translating it into civilian career fields so that not only can you help showcase your relevant skills and abilities to potential employers, but you can also do some searches on here to try to find what kind of career or industry that you might be interested in or that might be a good fit for you. So this is a really handy tool and this is a great way to change your resume into a more civilian style resume. I want to say thank you for your service if you are a veteran and watching this. And again, we are always happy to help with any sort of services that you might need assistance with. Okay, so a great thing to do when you are creating your resume first is to explore the job opportunities available to you. You can research companies and industries using things like ONET Online or Alaska Jobs or Indeed if you'd like, to find listings that are of interest to you, and then you can do some research on that labor market or on the labor market regarding those careers and industries so that you can really start to tailor your resume to those industries. You can explore local opportunities through job fairs and community bulletins too. We always have something going on at the Job Center, so please feel welcome to stop by and talk to us if you have any questions about career fairs coming up or employers hiring, etc. We're happy to point you in the right direction. Okay, throughout this presentation, I have emphasized the importance of tailoring your resume to the job description that you're applying for. I'd like to explain to you why that's so important. Sometimes employers will use tools like applicant tracking systems, or ATS, or artificial intelligence, or AI, to filter through resumes to find resumes that best match up with the job description. So in order to give your resume the best chance of making it to a hiring manager where an actual set of human eyes will be able to look at your resume, you really want to tailor your resume by incorporating those keywords from the job description. On top of that, even if an employer doesn't use AI or ATS to filter through resumes, incorporating keywords from the job description just shows that you took the extra time to tailor your resume for this job description, which shows that you care about the job that you're applying for. Just that little bit of extra work will really help your resume stand out more. It can feel overwhelming to have to edit resumes over and over and over again if you're applying to multiple jobs, but there are some really handy tools at your disposal that you can use to make things easier. For example, our Alaska Jobs system allows you to create a resume and post it online. And when you're editing your resume, you can just check a box to either add, include, or exclude your previous work experience, your education, etc. So that way, all it takes to adjust or tailor your resume is just checking a box. It's super simple and super easy to use, but if you need any assistance with it, please stop by your local job center and we'll be happy to show you that along with any other tips and tricks for using the Alaska Jobs system. Okay, let's talk about incorporating keywords into your resume. One thing that's really important to note is that when you are pulling important words from the job description and including them in your resume to show that you are a perfect match for this job, you are putting in these keywords in a way that fits naturally. You don't want to force it into your resume, so really try to rewrite things to make it read naturally. Also, avoid including keywords that don't accurately reflect your skills or your abilities. We don't want to falsify anything or pretend that we fit the qualifications or the skills that this employer is looking for when we don't, because that would come to light eventually. We want to be honest and genuine when we're presenting ourselves to an employer. Okay, let's talk about how to identify keywords on a job description. You want to very carefully review the job description as much as possible. Do it a couple times, do it really thoroughly so that you make sure you're finding all of the keywords in the job description. I like to recommend to people that they have a separate pen and paper for when they're reviewing the job description so that they can write down those keywords as they come across them. Sometimes job descriptions can be quite lengthy, so there can be a lot of keywords involved in there, and it's nice to have just a list going for it. Pay attention to terms that are repeated, bolded, or underlined. These ones are going to be very important. Identify the relevant tools and technologies that you will need to know or learn for the job, and then note sections that say minimum qualifications, requirements, core competencies, or knowledge, skills, and abilities, or KSAs for short. These are all going to be sections that have important keywords in there for you to transfer into your resume. Another great thing to do once you have your list of keywords from the job description, you can go ahead and separate those keywords into the two soft skills and the hard skills categories. And then that way it gives you a little practice with identifying the difference between hard skills and soft skills, and it'll help you format them better into your resume when you go to fit them in. Okay, in this section, I'm gonna give you a couple of minutes to identify some keywords in the sample job description. There are a ton of keywords available here, so take your time, really look through closely as much as you can, and write down the ones that you take note of, and then we'll go over it in just a second. All right, awesome. Okay, I hope I gave you enough time. How many keywords did you find? Did you find all of the ones that we have listed here? Did you find more or any different ones? It's really important that you thoroughly go through the entire job description, because the more keywords that you can find, the more opportunities you have to connect that with your work experience or your skills and abilities, which will make you fit better as a candidate. So take your time going through this job description and find anything you can. Some of the keywords that we identified were project management experience, bachelor's degree, 2 years of experience with budgeting, AutoCAD software, city planning, and then we kind of go into the soft skills category, which would be verbal and written communications, problem solving ability, responding to public inquiries, teamwork, organization, and adaptability. So again, you can see the two separate categories are kind of separated. The top half of these skills, or the keywords listed, are hard skills, our technical skills, and the bottom half are our soft skills. Okay, and now I've got a really great example of incorporating these keywords from the list that we made into a summary of qualifications. So I'll go ahead and read it out loud. It says, licensed architect with 3 years of hands-on experience leading and managing large-scale city projects, overseeing multi-million-dollar budgets, adept problem solver with excellent verbal and written communication skills, ensuring clear and effective collaboration, proven team player with exceptional organizational abilities, having successfully supervised the design of over 100 projects using AutoCAD, ensuring timely and high quality delivery. So you can see this one is 3 to 4 sentences. It's concise, but it packs a punch. It has so many of these keywords from the job description in it. This person would have a really great chance of standing out in a crowd. Okay, now that you have your resume mostly filled out, it's time to focus on the wrapping up portion and the formatting. So it's important to choose professional fonts, things like Times New Roman or Calibri. Those are classic font choices and they are always a safe bet. Try to avoid the font choices like Comic Sans or Gothic. Those font choices can be a little bit unprofessional. Use readable font sizes such as 10 to 14 for body text or 14 to 20 for headings, and always, always, always proofread for grammar and spelling. If you want another set of eyes to look at your resume to identify if there were any grammar or spelling errors, hand it over to us at the Job Center. Come talk to us. We're more than happy to proofread it for you and see if there's any areas that could be clarified, or if there are any spelling errors that you might not have caught. Sometimes what you need is you just need another person to look at your resume. It can get really tiring and overwhelming looking at the same document over and over and over again while you're creating it and editing it. So take a break from reading it, let us take a look at it, and we'll see if there's anything we can help. Okay, and here are some don'ts that we want to avoid. Never include sensitive personal information such as your age, your date of birth, your social security number, anything like that. And then steer clear of adding too many icons, graphics, elaborate layouts, or personal photos. It can be really fun to customize your resume, but you also want to keep it to a minimum because the resume should be more about your experience and your work rather than the fun graphics and making it colorful, etc. You can still throw in a little bit of flair to your resume, but again, just keep it minimal. Okay, so I hope that you've taken away a lot from my presentation today, but if there is one thing that I really want you to take home with you, I want you to remember this acronym. Make it a great resume. Make it genuine, as in you aren't falsifying any information, you are presenting your true self to the employer. Make it relevant, so make sure that you tailor it, make it relevant to the job ad. Make it E for easy to read. You want it to be concise, clear, super easy for an employer to understand. A for action verb oriented, which this is another tool we have at the Job Center. We actually keep lists of action verbs available. And T, tailored to the job. So every single job that you send your resume to, make sure you're tailoring your resume as much as possible to show that you have interest in that specific employer. All of these 5 things will help you stand out as a potential candidate and will help get you a ticket to a job interview. All right, guys, that is it for my presentation today. Thank you so much for your time and thank you for joining me. I hope that this presentation had some helpful information for you. But if you still have questions or want assistance with creating your resume or anything job related, please give us a call or stop by the Job Center. We are always happy to help. We love what we do here and we're excited to help you find your new career. Thank you again. My name was Kaylee and I look forward to seeing you.